There, as you can see, we have a basic sketch. There's a big rock, my big wave, and background ocean. There's actually going to be no sky today. So that's about all we need. Let's go ahead and get started. I like a sketch. You don't have to sketch. I find it useful. I'm going to take some brown and black. Not brown and black, blue and black. Blue and black. I don't generally do blue and black together because they kind of make a green. So unless you're doing like a tree or ocean water, you wouldn't really want that. Here's my Mr. bottle. And I'm going to go ahead and just place in some darkness. Honestly, it could be a little bit darker even here. Yeah, I like that. That works. A little bit of that water. It does help. So there you go. Now, if you put too much water, it'll kind of beat up on you. So you may have to do a couple of coats. But it helps the paint to spread so well. You could also use the foundation medium, which I actually need to go and get me some and put it out so that I can use it because we will be needing it. Using the same color, I'm going to do basically the same step, just right down here instead of right up there. Yes, adding a lot, honestly, I was going to say adding a lot of water, but I'm just going to mist the canvas instead. It's a little faster. Now, this has got quite a bit of water in it, so it'll take it some time to dry before we keep going. Let's take a look at the paintings that you guys did of my last one. It was always fun to see what you're up to and see your version because, you know, you just can't do the same painting the exact same way twice in a row. It always comes out different. So when you do your version of mine, there's always something different about it, and everybody has a different take on it. I like to see that. I think that's interesting. This is a wave right here, obviously, as you can tell by the sketch. So I might just lighten it a little bit. Not a whole lot, but just a little bit. Let's see what that does for us. I think that'll be good. It's okay to have some of these kind of random and irregular things going on. I just think that gives it some interest. That works. That works. It'll be good. Probably just like up here, I did 2 coats. Probably going to need to do 2 coats down here just because I'm watering it down so much. Now I'm going to grab some brown and black. I'm still waiting for my ocean to dry. But using this brown and black, we're just going to paint in our rock here. There you go. Something like that. We'll pick it out with highlights. You know, we'll probably lighten that ocean behind it some. I can barely see it as it is, so that's okay. Very good. Oh, there. Sometimes those little things will happen, and it's exciting. We'll change that up just a little by having like a big point or drop. There we go. Okay, so it's a little different now. It's got kind of something else going on. Might as well paint in the rest of these rocks as well while we're at it. So now I'm going to work in, finally, a little bit of highlight. All these under layers here are dry, so this is just one of many. This is obviously going to dry out darker because this is acrylic. It's important to keep your paint misted so they don't dry out, because believe me, they will dry out quick. You go grab a bite to eat or something, you come back, your paint will be dry. Ask me how I know. So keep an eye on the paint. Make sure you're misting it constantly. Well, there you go. I'll build this up layer by layer, not so quick, kind of slowly. That way I've got a lot of little nuances and things like that kind of built in my wave. It's not just like all repetitive. It's actually kind of different, which is neat. So now I'm going to drop in some highlight to this crashing wave here. It should be fine. This is obviously not the final highlight, and as you can see, as this dries, which it's close, it's not fully dry, but it's close. This area here needs to be highlighted at least one more time. Kind of works some of those colors together. It's always nice, maybe not always, but it's often nice to go ahead and allow some of that splashing wave to curl up into the whatever this part is, you know, the curl into the splash. There you go. Yes. In this painting, most of the action is right here. So this is where we're going to spend most of our time. And it's not a bad idea to allow it to sort of fade off here on the side, not so bright. You can do that by either darkening the paint or adding a little water, which is what I just did. The water will make it transparent. You think, well, that's the same color. Yeah, but wait till it dries. It's not going to be the same color. So there you go. Now I got just a very dark blue color going. Truly probably should have done this a little bit ago before doing the wave, doing at least this splashy part, but it doesn't actually make any difference in the long run because I just barely started to do this, so we're gonna have so many more layers that it won't matter. I'm just gonna work at getting a few of these little waves back here. Kind of blend them. You can go ahead and blend them while they're wet. Rinse your brush out with water and then just blend over them with that water and pull them. See, like that? Just make them soft. Maybe just a little touch brighter right here. Just a one or two even. I don't know, just something to, because that is kind of an interesting spot right there. Then a little darker. Here's my paint. A little darker. Oh yeah, hey, a shadow or two. Why not? Why not? That was accidental, but we'll work with it. There. Yeah, I like that. It's critical, especially because I got the air conditioner going. Gotta keep this paint wet. Okay. All right, let's work on our largest rock up here. It's good to get this pretty well finished before you finalize the mist and the splash, because that way you can bring it over and then push the rock back into the painting just a little bit more. That will be good. Okay, there. That's nice. This just doesn't have to be anything near perfect. I'll start with this fairly dark brown, and then I'll work up to, a lighter kind of gray, maybe. So we kind of have some warmth in there as well. And it's not just all gray. So I do want my rock gray, but it's not gonna be all gray. You don't think, oh no, I've got to paint a rock. You think, I'm just gonna look at negative spaces. That's just my dark areas. And I'm going to use the dark areas to define the edges of my highlight. And I'm just gonna work in small sections of using these little jab strokes like this. And I'm gonna squint my eyes, that helps if you're struggling. And I'm just gonna focus on generic shapes, leaving plenty of negative space. It doesn't really matter what your shape looks like because nobody can really, one rock is not gonna be the same. You're never gonna find two rocks the same. That's what I was trying to think of. So all you have to do is make sure that you have negative space and you're going to have a successful rock. So there's the secret to not getting overwhelmed by painting a rock. So I've got a reasonable little soft color there, kind of a soft purple. Yeah, that's pretty good. I don't think I want too much color. I don't want it too vibrant. I might just add a little blue to it. There. Yeah, that's good. Just a little touch of that blue. And I'm going to basically everywhere paint in. This is my first color. Honestly, this may even be a little bright. I may go ahead and on the outskirts here, I may darken it just a little. But this at least gives you an idea. I don't want it to be like a dark painting, but I just want it to be incredibly intense here in the middle and then just dark along the edges. That's all. And not like dark, like nothing going on at all. I do want something going on, but I just don't want it to be too vibrant here's why. Here's what I'm thinking. Because it's such a simple painting. This is an extremely simple seascape. I've done, seascapes that have like tons of stuff going on. This is not one of those, no palm trees, no sunset, no beach, no sky. So we got to create something that's interesting. And it's going to be like somebody just shined a spotlight down here Would that be totally natural? I say it could be. I've seen it where the clouds just open up a little bit and just a little bit of sun just comes right down, and it's obviously very stormy. So I think it's actually pretty realistic if you want to look at it like the clouds have opened up and there's just a little sunlight. That's why I only put a little highlight there on that rock. So there you go. All right, I'm just bringing up the highlight one level. So it's one level brighter. Excellent. And of course, I'm just going to focus it mainly in the middle area and create that nice effect. Just really the same idea. Just these foam patterns, nothing too crazy. Try to kind of just go over the same areas, the same ways. Don't do anything too different, otherwise it'll look like your water's kind of clashing, you know? It's got to be consistent for the most part. You don't need to get carried away. You know, you can go some different directions, but don't do too much, like I said, to where it looks like you got water coming this way and that way and crossing, and it won't look right. Now I'm going to add probably the final or close to the final highlight here, right here on the in the middle of my foam areas. And I've changed to the microfilbert brush. I've been bouncing back and forth between the microfilbert brush and my little flat brush. But now that I'm finishing it up, I want that extra detail, that extra control. And it's not like I'm going throughout the whole area. I'm just right here in the middle. It's very important, at least it is to me, to smudge some of these areas as you paint them, just to kind of soften it. You won't benefit from a hard edge, you know, up and through here. You want it to be soft. If this was oil, you could kind of do all your blending at the very end, but because this is acrylic, you need to blend as you go. It's water-based acrylic, so I got no issue, you know, just using my finger to soften it. It's no big deal. It comes off easy. Okay, the only other thing that I would say is kind of a little bit of a mistake you need to be watching for when you paint your own is it's very easy to get up here and paint just a bunch of foam patterns that all are symmetrical. They're all squigglies, but you need to have some areas like this. See the spot right here? And you can't really tell because I just covered it, but there's a spot like that here, spot like that here, where it's not really squigglies, it's just solid. The reason I'm pointing that out is because I kind of forgot. And I did a bunch of squigglies. I'm like, oh, I knew better than that. That was on this blue layer because I've been painting several layers now. So I had to go back and just make them more solid. So you have solid areas and squiggly areas. In fact, right here, I will demonstrate that, see, just by kind of mushing all that together a little bit more solid. So now I've got a kind of a solid area. And from there, you can pull out your squigglies and it'll all look good. Well, now I'm going to use the custom tapered round brush to put in some mist or so, just some extra water kind of crashing up, or maybe this wave crashed over a few minutes ago, and so this is kind of water that's rushing back still. I don't know, but there it is anyway. It softens up the edge. I don't think I want too much water because after all, the wave is not coming this direction. It's clearly coming this direction. Yeah, that definitely works. This is one of my favorite brushes for it is my favorite brush for blending anything when it comes to acrylics because of the way it's cut on the edges. You can use it upside down like this, and you'll get such a soft effect. Now, that's all fine and good, but we also need to do some on this backside. I like this. I don't want to go too crazy, but we do need a couple of splashy bits coming up and over this rock. So there you go. Probably going to take a couple of coats. There. Of course, I've got this real watered down, so it will dry a little bit more. It'll dry out, you know, and you'll see through it once it does dry. And then you put on another coat. Okay, not too bright. Hey, the good news is with acrylic, if you're like, man, I just painted this whole section too bright, you can just take a wash and go over it once it's dry. It won't be too bright anymore. That's great. That is a great thing about acrylic is the washing. That's like the glazing, the best thing that you can do with acrylics. So take advantage of the glazing. There. Okay, and then a darker, it's probably important to get a darker bluish color just to also have some of this, but in the darker tones. Like I said, if I overdo this, I'll just glaze over it and darken all of this. So now I'm taking a little bit of a light, just all the same color, kind of a light blue, white, gray, whatever, on my number 4 bristle brush. But look how I'm pressing it down. What that does is it sort of opens up the brush where I can use it to just add in, maybe not too much here, because this is a little further back, but at least here more toward the foreground. I don't know, I may do some of it up there. What am I saying? I probably will. This is just a very subtle and interesting effect that I'm going to add just by stippling a little bit of this. Oh, just texture there. This is subtle. I'm not going to totally overdo it and go everywhere with it, but you know, here and there, it doesn't hurt to have a little crashy, splashy texture. And you know what? Let's go ahead and go up in here. It's not gonna make it look too close. Just every once in a while, I'll give just a little splash of that texture, maybe a little bit more white, a little lighter. It's not pure white, but it is a little lighter. And then here, to finalize all this, we will go ahead and probably do that flicking thing, probably using the same brush. So I've got some white paint here. It's actually been thinned down just a little bit with water. And I've got my palette knife. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to flick just, well, I was about to do it down there. No, let's not do that. Let's do it up here. A little less paint in the brush. I'm going to begin to flick just a little bit of this up and into this wave. Beautiful. See that? If you have too much water in there, they'll come off as larger beads. So don't put too much water. But if it's not coming off at all, clearly you're going to have to add a little more water. Okay, this is good. Just something to do while this dries. I think I'm going to glaze. I'm going to show you how to glaze. Not so much because it needs it. I kind of like it just the way it is, but I think it might benefit from some, not a lot. And I think you would probably be very interested in seeing how to glaze in case you over highlighted the edges of your painting. You want to bring that what's almost like a vignette look back into it. Now, it doesn't look like I've got any paint in that brush, but there's my color. It looks like watercolor painting at this point. That's kind of the consistency you would be looking for. And I'm going to glaze now this color, which is just black, really, a little purple and black. No white. It's very important that you have no white because that white is opaque. We do not want any opaque color in this mix, because if we do, what we'll do is we'll end up covering all of our beautiful details that we've been working up to this point to put in. So it's very important that it needs to be watered down and it needs to be very much transparent. That's probably not dry enough to be doing that. It's also critical that your background painting is dry. Critical. If you don't do that, oh, it's going to be sad if you don't allow it to dry. But see, I can still see all my details. I'm just darkening this up a little. It may take 2 or 3 passes, just doing the very same thing. Darken that up just a little. What is that doing? It's just forcing the attention of whoever's going to look at this painting, hanging on a wall or whatever. You're going to look right there. You can see my paint wasn't dry. I was doing some stuff up in here and you can see my paint was not dry. So I'll have to go back and repair that. But there you go. Just a little bit of a glaze, not too much over here. This is kind of our center of interest, but there. Okay, good. And up in here, a little darker. Even on this wave, I can glaze over that wave just this little bit right here. Nowhere else. Just this little bit. Only do this if you really want to, because, things can happen and you can end up kind of ruining it a little bit. So just throwing that out there as a disclaimer. There you go. Would not be a bad idea, actually, to wait for this whole thing to dry, coat it with foundation medium, almost like a varnish, and then paint this over, because then you could take like a wet paper towel and wipe this layer away. And it should protect the layers underneath. But as it is, this paint is not cured or hardened near enough to wipe it with like a wet paper towel. It would just come right through. And I'll go back to the layer underneath. Well, that about wraps it up for today. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing this. Don't forget to check out our website, DVDs, and brush line. Thanks for watching. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe if you're not already, and click the like button. That helps me out a lot. Stick around, watch a couple more videos, and stay inspired.